my vision, every desire. Keep for your glory, my soul inspired. With your perfection and your holy love, flooding my pathway with light from above. And fill all my vision, Savior divine, till with your glory my spirit shall shine. And fill all my vision, that all may see your holy image reflected in me, reflected in me. Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee and Conversations. My name is Jason Goodson, here with Johnny Taylor. And we have some guests today. One in-house guest who went home and get his computer because he wanted to feel a part of the group.
That's right.
Jonathan McBurnett's with us today.
Hello.
Hey, Jonathan. And we have all the way from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And if you hear the nature in the background, it's because Andy is outside. Andy Baker is outside, and he is sharing with us what it's like, to be on the back porch of a home on the golf course.
That's right.
That's right. Lots of squirrels and geese.
Lots of squirrels and not many golfers.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one yet, by the way.
You hear a 4 in the background.
And you hear Andy scream.
I'm
going to tell you something. In order to hit this backyard, you have to have a terrible drive, and you would be surprised how many people do hit this.
Yeah, well, that would be this is a nice golf course. I've played that golf course before, and it's primo. It's really, really a cool place.
I'd probably hit the backyard.
Oh, I could hit the backyard without a problem.
Yeah, man. Jonathan's a golfer, man. Jonathan.
Me and Justin are going to go out soon, so you need to come.
I would love to come play golf. Yeah, I want to. If you find the time for me, let me know. And
one of those big boy jobs, man.
Yeah, I got a. Yeah, I sure do. I've got a big boy job, and it requires a lot of my time. Yeah, well, today is kind of, I've got a few things I want to talk about. Just kind of throw out there. I do want to comment on something up front. I should not be complaining about this. However, the Texas Rangers are in the World Series. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but they're in the World Series, and I'm not sure they showed up to play yet. I wish the team that played during the regular season would show up and play during the postseason here.
Well, and the team that played the last
2 series,
couple of games at Tampa Bay would show up
in New York. So anyway, it was kind of embarrassing the other night. I was watching the baseball going, man, just people across the nation are just dogging the World Series now because Texas is, they walked like 85 men in a row, I think it was the other night, and it's pretty awful.
They didn't do too bad last night. They just didn't hit the doggone ball, except for Mitch Moreland. He was batting .341, that Mississippi boy.
Yeah, Mitch Moreland. He's going to be a first baseman for a while. I like the kid. Oh, yeah. He's a good kid.
Yeah, I was looking at the batting averages for the series so far, and the next closest batting average is like .250 on the team for the series.
I think they're definitely going to have to step it up if they want to come back and win.
Yeah, I think, tonight we have our meetings. We have our Monday night meetings, and we're going to Jonathan's house tonight. This is how we know Jonathan. One of our dudes in Mineola here that we like to hang out with, and kind of are rolling with, kind of getting to know God with. It's been a fun process.
Yeah, it is.
Jonathan's
I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Well, we all are. That's the fun part of it.
Yeah, I guess that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and
I've got a fun fact World Series thing. Whenever you
go for it, man.
There's actually Hattiesburg has some tie to the World Series.
Oh, yeah?
One of the players in the World Series. I think his name Buster Posey, maybe.
Yeah,
For the Giants.
Yeah.
He's from Georgia, but he played at Tatum Park in the 12-year-old Dixie Youth World Series. Or when he was a kid. So
That's funny.
Yeah, he's a Georgia boy. Isn't he?
yeah, they had a big write up in the paper about that. Hattiesburg's famous because he played in Hattiesburg.
He had a famous home run last night.
Yeah.
On the brighter side of sports, Mississippi State won their 7th game.
Oh, they're going to a bowl this year.
Well, you might even get a decent bowl this year. And they're number 21 in the polls.
They beat Florida.
It's not necessarily brighter for me, but I'll take it. Whatever.
You take it. Huh?
I like it.
Hey, I went to Mississippi State for a semester.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you did for a semester?
Yep.
I didn't go. That's just who I root for.
Well,
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Yeah,
Yep.
Interesting.
Didn't work out. I was trying to run from what God had called me to, and I was there for a semester. It took me about 2 weeks to realize it wasn't the place for me.
So Mississippi State might be a whale to you.
Well, I actually enjoyed it. Mississippi State's a nice place. It really is.
He sat in the belly for about 4 months.
Just wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's funny. Man. So, Handy, how things going? How's
Good.
How's life? I know we tried to walk through a little bit with you. You had to leave a little early last week, wasn't it? Was it last
Yeah.
week? Yeah. Things going all right down there?
Going good. Just staying busy, getting ready for Lake Forest Ranch in December. Looking forward to that. Other than that, just same old, moving right along.
Cool. We look forward to being there with you guys. It's going to be fun this year. We're going to, I don't know really where to start today.
I'm not reading my status.
I'm going to let you kind of take over right now because I'm at the, I've been so scatterbrained for the last probably 4 or 5 days that I'm not even sure where where all this kind of comes together. So I've been struggling with it.
Yeah, the last few weeks, last couple of weeks here, just been one of those. God, what you're doing? What are you doing? And some of the stuff's painful. We'll let Jason talk about that probably a little bit here. But just my mind has just kind of been, got to focus on the moment. Future don't look bright in some instances, so. But wrote this on my status on Facebook last night and started out and said, God is not sufficient for the future. He is only sufficient for the moment. The future only exists in our imagination, so that who or how God will be in it is limited to that imagination. Just thinking on how much in Scripture, how much we're exhorted to, live where God's got us at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you don't think about the future sometimes, but when the thought of that future starts driving you and ruling you rather than the Spirit, then it becomes a very bad thing.
Right.
Few different verses. I guess one of the first ones that comes to your mind is Matthew, let me see here, the one about take no thought, which is what, 5:34? Let's see here.
Matthew 5:34.
Yeah, I think so. Thought I had it bookmarked there, but no, that's not it.
6:34.
Taking
6:34.
those. Yeah.
So I'm off kilter here.
A little bit there.
I thought, no, that's not it. Or 6:34.
6:34.
6:34. Yeah. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient the day is its own trouble.
Right.
I meant to look it up last night. I was thinking about, if you remember back several podcasts back, Jason read a chapter from a book, a letter, and I remember the thing it said about God doesn't. I was trying to remember exactly how he said it, but it talks about God's only promise to us is His presence.
Yes.
That's his only promise in this world, is His presence being enough. And the thought struck me last night is you can only have His presence in the moment.
Right.
You can't have His presence in tomorrow. You can only have His presence in the moment. don't you share a little bit what's going on with you?
All right.
Why we're thinking down these roads.
Last Thursday, well, 2 weeks ago, I'll start with this. In July, my dad was he got sick and got pneumonia, and what was diagnosed pneumonia because the X-ray that they saw really couldn't see a whole lot, and he couldn't get rid of the cough, couldn't get rid of the junk going on, and all of a sudden, a couple of weeks ago, he gets a CAT scan done, and doctor calls him in and, says, look, it's real cloudy here, there's spots here, and this kind of goes along. Well, finally, last Thursday, after he goes in and he has a biopsy done, and of course, they go in and take several samples out of the lung area. And so last Thursday or Wednesday, my mom calls me and says, doctor called, wants the family to come in, with me and your dad to the office. Now, when a doctor calls and says, bring your family in.
That's serious.
Yeah, it's not like let's get together and have a celebration because everything's okay. Mm-hmm. And of course, the good thing about the whole thing is there's 4 or 5 different sets of ears there to hear information, to ask questions, just kind of get, pardon me, to kind of get, information on what's going on, and
Everybody
so
on the same page.
Right, everybody on the same page, just kind of figure out, hey, what's the process from here? So, so he's diagnosed with lung cancer, and I've talked a lot about with people about this, just thinking, out loud and going, what's a man to do who's, he survived prostate cancer, okay, and has survived it well. He hasn't had any return on that. But it didn't originate from the prostate. It originated in his lung. And that's what the doctor, he specifically said that the other day. This is not a transfer from somewhere else in your body. Your body's okay. This started in your lung. Now we need to proceed on to... So, my mother and his sister, they're going to hear this, but this is the truth. And, they're natural worriers. And of course, when you hear something about a loved one, you're going to, naturally worry about, oh my goodness, this is, it's the C word, it's cancer, it's, it's all those things that you hear. And, for a guy who smoked at a young age, but hasn't smoked in probably 30, 40 years at least. It's just an odd occurrence to me about going on. But what do you do? The doctor, then calls you. He goes the next day and he sees a specialist. And Saturday, or Friday night, he comes in, or Saturday night, I can't remember which night my daughter just turned a year old, so pardon me, we still got together, and and we hear that the cancer is treatable but not curable, and I'm going, well, where's the good news? Where's that? Well, the good news is that it's treatable. He can survive. He can work. He can live. We don't know how long, what the situation is, or how it's going to look, and now we're just in the process of waiting for that to happen. So, last 4 or 5 days, JT used the word last week, melancholy, or, but I don't know that I've been depressed. I've been angry. I've been lots of floating questions going on, and no words to express, what I'm feeling, because, you start looking at life, you start looking at how real it is, you start looking at the mortality of it, and so I don't know. This is a hard subject for me to talk about, because we're living in the moment of it right now. So my dad is back in '96, one of the things that Dad did for me is he gave me a taste of grace, of the grace of God that I've never realized before or understood, because I was in I was in the middle of being arrested, and and having one of those moments in life where I'd rather not remember, and we ended up I've been sat in a jail cell for with a bunch of other people for a couple hours, and I felt like it was an eternity, but all of a sudden I get called out, and Dad just bailed me out, and I'm sitting in the truck with him. He basically he gives me a word, and I'm looking at him like I'll do whatever I can to repay you, and and trying to make amends for all the the stuff, and he just looked at me and said, "You know what? He said, I love you, son. I'm here to get you out of situations you can't get yourself out of." And when he said that, man, I tell you what, I'd known a lot about God. It was probably one of the first moments I actually tasted who God was. And that came, through my father. And one of the things that kills me about my dad is that he's real stubborn. He's a stubborn dude. And there's nothing wrong with being stubborn, by the way, for you listeners out there. He's not a mean, stubborn dude, but he's stubborn. He runs naturally in the family on his side over there. And, and so Dad is, I'm sitting here, I'm all worried, I've got questions, I got doubts. There's lots of things going through my mind, I'm sure through his. And so he gives me, today, I get on Facebook, and Dad's got an account here, and here he's written on the wall and said, "Thank you, God, for all the blessings I have, and for all the blessings I am receiving." And I'm wondering what he's going through this whole time. I wonder what he's dealing with in this whole process. And then he puts on here Deuteronomy 31:8, "The Lord Himself will go before you, and will be with you, and He will never leave you or forsake you. Do not be afraid, and do not be discouraged." And that's my dad. What a second. The sucker's got cancer, and I'm the one suffering over here. And
Yeah.
But it's just the interesting thing is he don't want nobody to worry about him. He don't want anybody to dote over him in any reason at all, because my grandma was the same way. Just you think about things like that. Well, excuse me. Sunday morning this week, yesterday morning, we wake up, and I get a text message from my mom that his sister, my aunt, had passed away, and just want to, just go, God, when's it going to stop? When's it going to end? And I know I'm not the only one on earth that's ever gone through this. I get it. I understand it. Okay, but I get to share frustration here.
It hits home with everybody. I mean,
and hopefully, and I understand this, and just gonna go, golly, man. Just let's back off here. But it's funny. We talk all the time on here about the presence of God.
Yeah.
And finding joy in the midst of the moments of the junk. And
it's giving you an opportunity right now.
yeah.
I was thinking it's kind of interesting, the last few podcasts that's led up to this week.
It's been real. Like, you're right about that.
I've got something that, when my dad did that whole deal, and even today this verse rings, or this passage rings true, and you know this very well because you've sang songs about it and all that, but Psalm 121, as I lift my eyes to the hills, from where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth.
I love
He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in, from this time forth and forevermore. And if I remember correctly, it was, I know Eric Myers sung it, but I know you sang with him that song. I look to the hills, where does my help come from? Your help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth.
Right.
who sustains heaven and earth, and that's just an encouraging word, and in tough times and in good times, because there's nothing you can do for your dad, nothing you can do for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Your help and everything that you need comes from God, and He will sustain you because He made everything.
All right.
He runs everything.
Cool.
I was just thinking about that while you were talking, and it just rings so true in all our lives.
Yeah, it does. I'm sitting. I hadn't been too tough to cry. And I had a moment. I was frustrated the other night, and I picked up my daughter and went to take her inside her room and just rocked her to sleep. And I'm sitting there patting her to sleep, and she's having a hard time going down. And I sing to her when she's in there, and I started singing. I don't know why I sing this, but it just killed me. Oh man, it just wore me out. I started singing "Jesus Let Us," Michael Card. Mm-hmm. Just wore me out. And anyways, I couldn't talk to you about the words right now because I'd just lose it again. But I'm sitting there holding her, and man, I'm just weeping, just out loud. I haven't cried like that in years. I'm just letting it pour forth because, being a father, you love your kids, and I know my dad loves me.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting just thinking through the podcast we've done for the last few weeks. We did a couple on rest. I was trying to think. The one before that one, I think it was about joy. In fact, that joy is not happiness.
Right.
It's nothing about happiness. It's about God's presence and having that joy in the midst of something that's totally sad and heartbreaking.
And then the one that you entitled "The Trial by Fire."
Talking with Mark,
right,
and him talking about his son, and just worried about his son, and and it still gets me when I think about what Noel was worried about. It weirds me out. And just how are we going to tell him about Jesus? And just one day God spoke to her and said, "I talk to him all the time."
Oh man. That's a word right there, brother.
It is, man.
And I think a lot of it, what you're saying, with Ava, holding Ava at nighttime, doing the same thing. Right. It seems like that's when I do my crying, which is odd. But to me, it's the perfect picture. Here's this child that is fully dependent on me.
Right.
And here I am, big enough to hold this child and big enough to take care of this child, meet its earthly needs. And I look at it and I go, this is who I am to God, and this is what God does to me. He holds me, he sings to me, he cradles me, he meets my needs.
You're exactly right.
And the love I have for that child is unconditional, and I know I can't even fathom the love that God has for me or for you, or whatever.
Right.
He's that perfect father.
I know I can, and it's I can't even understand that because here I am, probably one of the most imperfect people in all of creation, and it's hard, to grasp that, but it's grace,
But you're right. One of the things, though, that I felt in the midst of all that when I was holding Iris was, she was totally asleep. She wasn't making a move. She was. Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm talking loud weeping and
I've been there lately,
and just and she's not moving. She's totally out. Comfortably sleeping, and gosh, man, for somebody that was, usually you walk away those moments and where's God in that? And he was there. Well, that was the funny part, is that it's not that he wasn't there, but he was.
Where do you think that love for her came? Where do you think that crying came from?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It was just like just
think about the intensity of your emotion at that point.
Right.
for your daughter and your dad and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
That all that is springing out of love. And think about
Sure,
the intensity that God must have for all of us.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's so. I mean, that's just
That's what I'm saying.
unfathomable.
It was like one of those moments where, you realize there was not a lot of, it was joy. It was a joyful moment. It's like, I don't know.
Even when you're torn up, though.
Yeah, exactly right.
Even when you're torn up and it's not joyful to you, it's that crying,
Yeah, man.
is that emotion is from love, is from God, and I listened to a podcast on the God Journey podcast.
Yeah, right.
And they were talking about how God, what was it? Something about how he takes on the his heart for the suffering people or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know, you think about your heart for your daughter, your heart for your dad,
right.
Your dad's heart for you, and
right.
the intensity of at any given moment something bad happening and your reaction to that.
Mm-hmm.
And God has all that encapsulated in him.
Right.
But the difference is that he knows the outcome.
Yeah.
Completely. But he still takes on our burden
in the midst of it.
Yeah. In the midst of it and carries it.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to understand.
Oh man.
It's hard to understand.
It is. It is hard. JT pulled out some good verses to read. There's several good ones in here that we looked at.
Well, let's see here. I was trying to look up a C.S. Lewis quote, but I can't find it. So.
This is good stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
If you've never watched the movie Shadowlands,
I won't be watching it anytime soon.
No, but
what is that? I've never heard of it.
C.S. Lewis and
oh really?
Oh, it's really good.
Oh, it's so good. Anthony Hopkins plays C.S. Lewis.
I love Anthony Hopkins.
Oh my goodness,
It's a really good job too.
I'll loan it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Shadowlands.
I forgot to bring that DVD. By the way.
It's about him getting married,
Right.
and it's basically about he kind of had his emotions closed off, and
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to remember what he says in the movie. It talks. It's something about the joy then. It was the grief now is part of the joy then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
That's kind of where I was coming from in my thoughts.
Such a good quote, but because he loses his wife dies,
Mm-hmm.
and you just be ready to cry if you watch the movie. I'm just telling you that.
It doesn't take me much nowadays.
Well, you could be a rock, and this one would make you cry. I guarantee you. But it's a tough.
I'm going to
one.
quote Philip Wood here.
Okay.
And I'm sorry because I'm going to ruin the moment.
It don't matter. The moment is.
We're crying. We're
I
sitting.
think about crying. I think about Bob Wood.
I mean, yeah, Bob would acquire anything. We're sitting in Philip's in the church house over there on the other side of Hattiesburg. And Eric and he lived together, and we're talking about Shadowlands. We're talking about the movie Shadowlands. And we're sitting in there with a room full of guys and girls. It's one of those moments where you don't need to be inappropriate, but he's not really. What he says doesn't really mean to be inappropriate. It just comes out that way because we're all just demented in our minds anyways. And he goes, man, I watched that movie and I cried my balls out.
Oh, man.
I don't get to tell many stories on Philip Wood, but that was one of them. Of course, and we all died laughing, and we've all joked about it since then. But
Give him that one next time I see it.
yeah, you need to do that.
I think I'm gonna go to this scripture instead of the ones I had written down.
Okay, which one?
Because even though this is about us living in the moment, it's about who God is.
Right.
Zephaniah 3:17. The Lord your God is in your midst. The mighty one will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing.
I want you to sing that song like right now.
Oh, I don't think I can make it.
I don't think you can do it right now.
Oh my gosh, I love that song. I want you to bring your guitar and sing it at Far Trade, by the way, like you did last year.
Okay. If Jonathan will come with me.
Sure.
That's a great verse. A great verse.
You just talk to Haley. Let her know.
But, you know, and if we don't understand that this is who God is, there's no way we can live in the moment. There's no possible way. And there's no way to know that He's enough.
Mm.
And that whatever the future brings just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm full right now, brothers.
I think there's quite a few tears falling on this end.
Mm.
You know, and all this, it's not about our faith. It's about who He is. It's not about what we're doing. It's about Him being the Father and the bridegroom.
And He knows what He's doing.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's out of a heart to do exactly what's perfect for us. What's the absolute best. Absolute best. Let's see. Can't get my e-sword to the verse I want here.
Can't
Let's
stop
see.
coughing now.
Yeah, I'm all sniffly here.
Is that cinnamon?
Mm-hmm.
Heartburn.
Let's see, Matthew 8:24. Says this is a story about the disciples in the boat. It says suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. Then his disciples came to him and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing."
Wake up!
But he said to them, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith?" Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was great calm. And to me, that's so encouraging, because most people talk about, how pitiful they had such little faith.
Yeah.
No,
You got it wrong.
but the great thing was that it didn't matter what their faith was. He calmed the sea when it was time. And he brought great calm, even in the midst of their lack of faith. So, man, we can rest, and when it's storming and I'm screaming, He's still there. And He's still going to calm the sea when it's time.
Man. I think I got something I read today. If I can find it, it might have to do with it. It might not. I might just be thinking crazy. Yeah, maybe not. Take that back.
Yeah, it's funny, the question we almost never want to ask is, God, what are you doing in the midst of the sorrow? What are you doing in the midst of the brokenheartedness? Because there's always purpose in everything. And
You don't know how to answer that. You don't know how to. You don't know how to. And it's hard to answer when there's not even problems going on.
yeah,
God, man. But I want an answer. I want
Yeah.
to taste. I want to know. That's the problem. That I think there is an answer. I think there is a tasting. There is a glory of God
Yeah.
moment in all this for us. too. I'm sorry, I cut you off, JT.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking on, that moment may just be the presence of God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
right.
you
Well,
think,
however it manifests, it is the presence of God.
yeah. Because you think about
Right.
Job never knew, really never knew why all the stuff that happened to him.
Right.
He saw that moment of God though when he said, "I see you now. I heard about you
Right.
before, but I see you now."
There it is, right there. That's the trick, right there.
Yeah.
That's my shoe. Sorry, guys. Whew. That's
I see you now. That's
yeah, I really like, I deal with people all the time and go through this stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, my job requires it. Like,
Yeah.
it's part of it's a part of ministry that I deal with. It never really hits home as well as it does when you're going through it.
It's different when it's your own.
Oh, heck
right?
yeah, man. Like, you don't, you just don't feel, you feel it, but it's learning, that year I worked in hospice.
Yeah.
I mean, constantly saw this. Constantly. And thinking to myself, what, what emotions how am I going to resonate with them and identify? And a lot of times I didn't say a word.
Yeah.
It was mostly just sitting there with them, not saying anything, not having to produce a great, moment of truth for them. And, I don't know. It was just one of those things that God taught me a lot through. So I'm sorry, Andrew. Did you have Andy? I call him Andrew. I'm such an idiot. Andy. Andrew. Like your father. Come over here,
It's
son.
actually not a real name. But
Is it really? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't like that, I will quit doing
No, it doesn't bother me. I've been called a lot worse
Well,
recently.
that's okay. Yeah. All right.
This is such a good example of a personal relationship with God as opposed to distant relationship.
Right.
Because that's where that presence is sufficient, is in that personal relationship.
Right.
You can't go to your pastor and get comfort.
Right.
He might have some nice words. I say here, I've been where Jason's at,
Right.
and there's nothing I can tell him. It's got to be God's presence and God's sufficiency. Makes me sad for the children of Israel who told Moses, "You go speak with him and come tell us what he said."
Yeah.
It gives me a different view on them.
It does. Right.
It doesn't make me mad. Hey, how could you be that way toward God? As opposed to, it makes me just sad for them.
Well, I'm certainly going to rest in this. Fear not, stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will work for you today. For the Egyptians who you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. I'm going to rest in that. That's one of the key verses Andy that we're going to be sharing that weekend with the kids.
Right.
And man, it's hitting home for me right now because you know, I want to grumble. I want to grumble, and I don't want to go through the sea. I don't wanna, you know, I don't want to be pulled out of what I was comfortable in, and enslaved to, and stuff like that. But you know, those words, you know, are pretty awesome because, man, what do I got to do?
You know, I think it's okay to grumble as long as you're grumbling to God.
Yeah, you're right. I'm
'Cause
right.
that's relationship.
Yeah, it's
I just
relationship.
think about that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
There's no doubt.
I've already grumbled. You know, I've raised my fist. The fist has been raised. It's, you know,
And I think that's good. I mean, that's relationship. That's walking through life.
It's honesty.
yeah,
It's truth.
And be real with God. Who you gonna be real with?
That's right.
exactly
exactly.
right.
Like he doesn't already know.
You're right.
Right.
That's what I told
So I
you.
find great comedy in my stupidity when I try to hide stuff from God.
Yeah.
And God's like, "Hey, you idiot! I already know."
You're right.
And the more you're real about it, you know, the more you get mad and let your emotions just kind of hang on your sleeve. To God, the more He shows you through what your reactions to Him, the more He shows you things and counsels you about those things because you're actually bringing your real self to Him. And I mean, you know, you don't go to a counselor. I've never been to one, but I you know, you let it all out to
Right.
Him, right?
Right.
And He's the wonderful counselor. He's the
Yeah. I do laugh at the things that I try to disclose. Like he's not big enough to handle it. You know,
That's right.
I used to be scared to be honest with God about things and yell out to Him, and you know, and man, you don't know what a freedom there is until you can go to the field and really let it go and really really let it fly and just be real and honest that you know, you don't have to be in the field. You can be in your car, wherever you want to be.
I don't think God's ever offended by our honesty.
I don't think so either. You're right.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. I think, in fact, I want to say that He enjoys that part of us too because
It's
because He
relationship.
loves us.
It's intimacy right there.
Yeah, He loves every aspect of that. It's good. It's comfort. That's a comforting reminder.
It's good to sit in and think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, you know, Moses, when he got mad and hit the rock instead of speaking to it,
Right.
he never did miss a beat talking to God. He didn't go cower.
That's right. He sure didn't, did he?
He just went right on. He just went right on, just
Right.
like it's always been.
Gosh,
that was a
And
neat
Job
laugh.
sure did back up from
that was
it.
awesome, right? Right. No, it
You know,
was Halloween yesterday.
Job sure didn't back up from getting in his face.
No, that's the whole book of Job.
And what God's and
You're right.
We would think. I mean, modern Christianity opinion would be if somebody did that now, said the things that Job said. You know, get away! Here comes a lightning bolt.
Right. Step away. Yeah.
And what God said about Job in the end there was that he never sinned with his mouth.
That's
And
right.
all the things he said, he never sinned with his mouth because he was just honest. He may not have a good understanding of God at the beginning, but he was honest.
Right. He was real.
And God said he never sinned with his mouth.
I love that.
So anyway,
Yeah. Awesome.
it's about God, who God is,
Cool.
not about us.
We were made to meet our maker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To meet Him.
Absolutely.
That's a song. This band I just got introduced to,
Really?
and
Got a name?
it's called Mumford and Sons.
The
Mumford?
name of that
It's
name.
they're kind of weird, but
Sounds that
they're
way.
not labeled Christian or anything. But
Well, then you shouldn't be listening to it.
I
Here comes the lightning bolt.
That's right. Back away.
I'm leaving.
Munford and Sons.
Mumford and Sons.
Sounds like a garage.
Yeah.
I actually
Hey,
sent-
right.
I actually sent you a link to a guy from the 70s today.
Oh yeah. Who is it?
Something Drake.
Nick
I've never
Drake.
heard of him before. Yeah.
Nick Drake. Haley's got a CD of his. I've never really listened to it, but I know that name because I know Haley's got a CD.
Wow.
This one of his songs popped up on my Pandora station. It's like, that's cool words to that song.
Yeah.
That could be a Christian song. But anyway.
Me and Bobby were talking about that the other day. He was just saying how it was amazing. He was listening to this because Bobby listens to some serious heavy metal.
Yeah,
I'm talking about like,
he listens to everything,
Right.
basically.
and he was just telling me how he found God and how he was being amazed at how he could just find God in almost anything. But he's everywhere.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Always proclaiming his glory in those things which are made.
Very true.
So anyway, well, we appreciate everyone indulging us today.
Yeah.
We've gone kind of long for what we normally do, so. But I think God showed up,
Absolutely.
and I hope it's encouraging to all of you. And hope you'll be praying for us here.
Yeah. As
Praying
God
for
leads
Jason
you.
and his families. God puts them on your heart, and we'll keep you updated on what's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anybody got anything else?
Jonathan, Andy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having us. Or me. I don't know about Andy.
No, yeah, we're thankful. No, we're thankful to have you too. So, hey, we'll see you next week.